Let's move on. We want to discuss the erratic power supply now. John Mahama chastises Energy Minister over quote-unquote disrespectful comment. Let me just read the story to you. It's on citinewsroom.com. Regarding DUMSOR, Mahama criticizes Opoku Prempeh over timetable comment. Now, the flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has criticized Energy Minister Matthew Opoku Prempeh over his dismissive response to demands for a load-shedding timetable amidst the recent power outages in Ghana. Now, Dr. Opoku Prempeh, in an earlier interview, dismissed calls for the issuance of a load-shedding timetable by the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, and asked Ghanaians to issue their timetable. Now, addressing members of the Association of Ghana Industries during a stakeholder engagement, Mr. Mahama described the minister's comment as disrespectful and urged the government to address the country's power crisis promptly. He emphasized the need for a responsible government to provide a schedule to enable citizens to plan amidst the erratic power situation. Now, I quote, "The country has been plunged into darkness. Mismanagement about generating assets and collateralization of ESLA, which was meant to provide the resources to finance current and legacy debt, has led us back to DUMSOR. Now, the best government can do is to eat humble pie, take responsibility for the problem, and work to address it. Unfortunately, that's not the case. I am aware that businesses and households cannot plan because of the erratic power situation." And I continue the quote. "While citizens demand a schedule to enable them to plan, which is the least the responsible government should be doing, Energy Minister Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, who was one of the frontline participants of the DUMSOR Must Stop campaign while in opposition, is said to have said that those asking for a load-shedding timetable wish ill for the country and they should publish their own schedule. This is most disrespectful to Ghanaians and the customers of electric power. There's absolutely no doubt that businesses strive in a stable macroeconomic environment where revenue measures are designed to motivate the local production for growth and fiscal consolidation." And the story goes on there. You can read it on citinewsroom.com. All right, I will start with you, Kwesi, on this one. This is what, so a number of things have happened. There's just been a general outcry from different corners and different quarters for a release of a timetable. And at an event, and I'm sure maybe you were at that event, the NPP were having some event, and pressmen approached Dr. Prempeh and asked him about the power situation, and his response was what it was. And he says, those who are requesting for a timetable, why would they wish ill for the country? You know, and that if they really want a timetable, they should provide one. They should bring their own timetable. John Mahama is saying that's extremely disrespectful to Ghanaians. And your comments on this?
Thank you very much. To start with, I think that the statement made by the Energy Minister at the NPP Ashanti Region campaign launch inauguration, I wasn't there, but I was, monitoring it in the media. I think the statement made by the Energy Minister has been taken out of perspective and out of context.
Really?
Yes, in the regard that he's saying that if Ghanaians demand for a timetable, then Ghanaians should design their own timetable, like you put it.
What did he mean, if that's not what he meant?
Yes, I'll come there. Let me begin by saying that the current, intermittent power cut is challenging. And I would not sit here to say that I have never, suffered from such worrying situation. It's very worrying. I agree with the sentiment of all well-meaning Ghanaians that it's worrying. And the ECG, VRA, together with Gridco, have come out to tell us that this is just for a short time. It's not something that we are going to live with, or it's not something that we have lived with. I mean, this government has been in power has been in government for a period of over 7 years, and we have enjoyed stable power supply. And so within the last 3 months, 2 months, I agree there's been some form of challenges, but I would not call that as DUMSOR. Personally, I would not characterize that as DUMSOR. We demanded a communication, or we demanded a feedback from the ECG, demanding why our power situation has gotten to where we are now. Then the ECG comes to tell us that these issues have to do with localized faults and that it is not DUMSOR. I believe that if you look at the governance architecture of the Ministry of Energy, or of all the ministries, the Minister for Energy is the political head of the institution. However, before the Minister for Energy says anything, the minister must receive briefings from the necessary agencies under the Ministry of Energy. Yeah. So, taking into consideration, for instance, this energy crisis or power crisis, the minister must receive briefings from ECG, GRIDCO, and VRA. Okay. And according to the minister, the briefing he has received indicates that this is not DUMSOR, and that they have to do with localized fault and regular maintenance of transformers. And that is the cause of the intermittent power, cuts. So the minister then tells us that it is nearly impossible for the ECG to design a timetable, because the ECG would be unable to ascertain that at time X, Kukumlemle's light will go off, or the transformer at Kukumlemle will be damaged. And so at time X, let us inform the people of Kukumlemle that get ready for a power cut. I think that is the rationale behind the energy minister's statement that it will be impossible for the ECG to design a timetable. For me, I think that is the rationale behind it. Because if we are saying that the issues of the intermittent power cut has to do with localized faults, to be very fair to the energy minister and to the ECG or the energy minister sitting in Accra would not know that Sefi Bekwai in the western region, or in the Bekwai, in the Ashanti region, light will go off at 9 a.m. this morning. And so let us tell Ghanaians that at 9 a.m. the people of Bekwai should be ready for a DUMSOR. Okay. So let's situate the energy minister's statement in the right context. But because of political points, in order to score cheap political points, definitely some people would want to twist what the minister said in a certain way. I agree that we are in challenging times, and sometimes some of the statements that our leaders make should come with some form of clarity. Okay,
Kwesi, we're going to take a quick break, and when I come back, I'll have you wrap up your thoughts. I have a couple of questions for you as well. As still the news review segment here on Breakfast Daily, and then we're having conversations here. The current topic that we're discussing is the erratic power supply, and comments made by the energy minister, which have been chastised or criticized by the flag bearer of the NDC. Kwesi Botchway Jr. was making comments on this matter before we went for the break. I'll have him continue. All right, Kwesi, proceed.
So I think that the energy minister's statement has been taken out of proportion. It has been blown out of proportion. In any case, what we find ourselves in now is very different from what we found ourselves in between the periods of 2013 to 2016, when Ghanaians, school children, had to use candles to do their homework. People had to sleep in darkness for a period of 3 years. Okay. I agree Ghanaians demand that their lights are on irrespective of the explanations we give them. I demand that my lights are on irrespective of the explanations that ECG or the energy minister comes to give us. But taking it from the political perspective, and former President John Dramani Mahama coming out to chastise the energy minister for saying that we do not need a timetable at this point in time. I think that former President Mahama lacks the moral credibility and integrity to even comment on the matter of DUMSOR. He lacks it.
Why not?
Because under his tenure, he came to tell us that we should stop charging our phones so we could save power for others. He told us that charging your phone was a contributing factor to DUMSOR, or the intermittent power cut Ghanaians experienced for a period of 3 years. And so if such a person today comes, because he's on the other side and is in opposition and wants a populist approach to come to power, comes to tell us that the energy ministry should put out a timetable because we are facing some months of intermittent power cuts, I think that Mahama lacks the credibility to comment on DUMSOR.
Okay.
In any case,
yes.
In any case, what was his track record? What was his track record in fixing DUMSOR? The NDC have always claimed of fixing DUMSOR, but they never fixed DUMSOR. I agree. I agree.
How do you see them not having fixed DUMSOR?
I agree. They brought in some, increase some our generation capacity with some megawatts.
They almost doubled it.
But the DUMSOR,
they almost doubled it.
Exactly. But the DUMSOR under NDC had nothing to do with the generation capacity of our power.
Didn't it?
It had to do with finance. It had to do with paying the end gas, paying Nigerian gas.
Okay.
In fact, the Deputy Power Minister, Honorable John Jinapwo, in October 2016, you can Google, it was published on Citi online. He mentioned that the DUMSOR challenge was strictly a monetary challenge. It was a financial challenge. It was President Akufo-Addo in February 2017, after a few weeks of assuming office, went to Nigeria to see Buhari, negotiated with Buhari, and paid for the debt of the end gas debt. And that is the reason why from 2017 till now that we are experiencing some, intermittent power cuts. We've had stable power supply.
Okay.
So the NDC challenge strictly had to do with finance, paying for the end gas.
Okay.
And that was the reason why we were in DUMSOR, we were in total darkness from 2013 to 2016. But that is not the situation now. The situation we find ourselves in now are isolated cases of intermittent power cuts. And I agree.
When you say isolated cases across the country?
I do not think it's across the country.
But
to
everybody,
be very fair.
no.
To be very fair,
Maybe you've been off social media for a while. Maybe you've been on social media for a while.
I'm on social media.
But because if you've been on social media and people are watching us, if you've been on social media, you would realize that this is not localized as the claim may be. Now, when I say it's not localized, I'm not saying that it's not happening within localities. I'm saying that if you say it's not nationwide, then what we are saying is that it's happening. Oh, maybe only Tesano is experiencing it, and Ablekuma is not experiencing it, or Kumasi is not experiencing it, or OT region people are not experiencing it. But everybody everywhere is experiencing.
Which people are responsible for keeping our lights on?
ECG.
And the ECG tells us that these faults are localized faults.
Okay.
ECG clearly states that it is not a nationwide challenge. It's a localized fault.
I'm going to bring you Delari in short.
So let's give the ECG the benefit of the doubt.
No, I want you to comment on PURC's demand that they said ECG should provide by the 2nd of April a timetable for all the lights off that are going on. If you are saying that ECG is incapable of providing a timetable because they can't predict. To be fair, I would say if ECG cannot predict that which transformer is going to go off at each time, they shouldn't be there.
Why should it be so?
Because technology allows us to be able to know.
No, but
what?
No.
Let me explain. If your transformer handles, let's say, 5 kVA of power, this transformer, beyond 5 kVA, if it's drawing beyond 5 kVA of power, it will trip, right? If that's the capacity of the transformer. You have to be able to know, as ECG, that this locality here, on this transformer, there are companies and houses and power drawings on this transformer that is, once somebody turns on an extra fridge, it will trip. You should know this.
I agree.
Do you understand? If you don't know this...
No, but that is not the only cause of destroying transformers. That is not the only cause. From where I live,
Yes.
If you come to my community,
Yes.
one time there was an instance where a tipper truck failed brake
Yes.
and went to crash into a transformer
Yes.
and destroyed the transformer.
That's what we will call
so how would
a
the
localized
ECG,
problem.
No, how would the ECG be
So
able
are
to determine
trucks driving
that-
into transformers across the country?
So we have to ask the ECG questions that
Yes.
what is the cause of this localized,
Okay.
what they term as localized fault.
Yes.
But on the matter that PURC demanding that the ECG bring out a timetable.
Yes.
I am sure that the ECG is very competent at what they do because they have kept our lights on for a period of 7 years. And
I don't disagree.
and so we cannot say that because in the last 2 months there's been intermittent power cuts and so the ECG is incompetent. I believe that the ECG is very competent.
I don't believe they
and
are incompetent.
PURC and the PURC cannot. The PURC cannot direct the ECG
They
on
can.
how.
They are the regulator.
No, I agree.
They can.
No,
They are the regulator.
let me conclude.
They are
No,
supposed to respond to
let me conclude.
PURC.
Let me conclude.
Okay,
No, they will
go
respond to PURC, but I'm saying that the PURC cannot force ECG on how they should operationalize
They are
their
ECG's
activity.
regulator.
No, the fact that you're the regulator doesn't mean that you can force them on how they should
Okay.
they should go about their activities.
Let me hear what Jalari has to say. Jalari, your thoughts on this matter?
Listening to my brother basically once again validates the reason why we are in this mess as a country.
How so?
It's quite a bit sad.
He makes a compelling argument.
No,
though.
I mean, it's an argument that falls flat on the basis of the evidence that I'm going to adduce here. You see, this is government when there's a problem, when there's crisis. Instead of them to admit that indeed there's a problem and prefer a solution in dealing with that problem, they are so much quick to insulate themselves from the mess that they've even imposed on Ghanaians. But let me clear this. I mean, I listened to my brother trying to make certain references that President Mahama never solved himself. Sometimes I doubt whether the MPP themselves, they are mindful of some of the statements that they made when they were in opposition. On the 6th of March 2016, Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, the current vice president, he was then the vice presidential candidate of the MPP, appeared in the studios of Joy FM, and he was asked a specific question. That one of the trump card of the MPP going into the 2016 election is about DUMSOR. But unfortunately for the MPP, President Mahama has fixed it. What are you going to say again? And Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia said, President Mahama created the DUMSOR, and fixing it, he deserved no commendation. This is the story here. This is the story. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, this is the story.
Okay.
When he appeared, it's a video, he appeared in the studios of Joy FM and admitted and conceded that indeed His Excellency John Dramani Mahama fixed DUMSOR, only that he deserved no commendation for fixing this.
Okay.
The former majority leader admitted on Oki FM that President John Dramani Mahama fixed DUMSOR, this time around at a higher cost. So the argument whether President Mahama fixed DUMSOR or not is not even something that is even a subject for debate. And I find it a bit ridiculous if MPP member, if you want to rationalize it, say President Mahama never fixed DUMSOR. Peter Amewu, who succeeded Chairman Jako as the energy minister, was asked a specific question. How many megawatts have the MPP added when it comes to generation? He said nothing, absolutely zero. So you see, when you talk about fixing DUMSOR, when it comes to the energy sector, we are talking about fuel security. We are talking about funding. We are talking about generation. President John Dramani Mahama, our capacity was around 2,700.
Yes.
By the time he left power, he has increased it to 5,000.
Yeah.
That was when the NPP said, Ghana is what do you call, we have too much excess. Yeah. You remember that?
Yeah.
That the NPP said we have too much excess power for them and we don't need it. Forgetting about the fact that a transformational leader is the one that prepares for the future. So this whole thing, emergence of DUMSOR, that's what are Ghanaians even demanding for? That there are clear cases of DUMSOR, like you alluded to. Go to social media. It's awash with a lot of DUMSOR all over. What is even the definition of DUMSOR? When my light is on, it goes off, it comes back. That is a simple, basic definition of DUMSOR. And you want to tell us...
Let me help your argument.
Yeah.
Let me help your argument.
Yeah.
So I saw a tweet
Yeah.
by President Nanado.
Yeah.
The tweet is
very good. 2016.
hashtag, no, even before that, hashtag vote Nana 2012.
Yeah.
And this is Nanado's quote. He says, Mr. President, if the lights go out and come back on, is that not DUMSOR?
Yeah.
DUMSOR?
Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Yeah. So you see, the issue about the arguments about the fact that we are currently experiencing DUMSOR is not in doubt. And Ghanaians are aware. It doesn't lie in the mouth of an NPP communicator or the Minister for Energy or any appointee of the government to tell us whether we are going to do so or not. I experience it. You experience it. Those viewing us this morning, they have experienced it. Industry players are complaining about it. Hospital, recently, because when you go to Tema General Hospital, the neonatal intensive care units lost a 3-year-old child as a result of DUMSOR. You want to tell the mother watching us this morning that what happened that led to the demise, the unfortunate death of the child, who eventually probably could become one of the best scientists in the world. You want to tell that mother this morning that what led to the demise of that 3-year-old child is not DUMSOR. And it means you are being insensitive. But you see, coming to the minister and what President Mahama said, President Mahama have every credibility, integrity, and the moral authority to comment about DUMSOR. Because he's the man that fixed it. He didn't treat it like President John Ejekun Kufuor in 2007. How did he solve DUMSOR? By carrying men of God to Akosombo to go and pray over the Akosombo Dam. That is how you fix DUMSOR. That is the solution the NPP profess when it comes to fixing DUMSOR. President Mahama said this is a problem that has confronted this country. In the 1980s, we encountered DUMSOR. In the 1990s, we encountered it. 2007 under President Kufuor, we encountered DUMSOR. President Mahama said, over the years, we've been dealing with the symptoms of DUMSOR. I am not going to deal with the symptoms. I'm going to take a bold decision and deal with it head on. Unlike his what they call predecessors. So that is why he took the blame. That listen, I agree with the fact that there's DUMSOR and I want to fix it. And by the time he left power, he has fixed DUMSOR. The energy minister, I am not surprised. He has gained that notoriety for making an unguided statement. And I'll give you a plethora of statements that he has made that is so distasteful. One instance, you remember this school placement when students assembled at the Independence Square. And some of the students were collapsing under the harsh weather conditions. When the sector minister, it was then the Minister for Education, when he was called upon to explain, to speak to the issues, he said he blamed the NDC because he believed that the NDC have barred students to go to the Independence Square, and that is why the students are collapsing. How can you be so insensitive? The same sector minister, you remember, when there was this flooding issue in the Volta region, where people were appealing, conscionable Ghanaians were appealing to the government to come to the aid of the folks in the Volta region because of the flooding. The sector minister, that he was then the energy minister, he was on Asempa FM. You know what he said? He said if government decided to intervene to deal with the plight of the people of the Volta with respect to the flooding, he's going to stage a one-man demonstration because he believed that development has not been taken to the Asante region. How can you be so insensitive? I will not sit down here and say that.
He said this where? On
Asempa FM. He granted an interview and said this on Asempa FM. The same minister, when he was the education minister and met the press, he was asked specific questions that students are lamenting about having no place they have to ease themselves. You know what he said? He said, oh, come on, they should go for Black Polythene Bank. But you see, I am not surprised about the level of arrogant posture of some of the appointees of this administration. You remember the president himself. When he went to the Asante region, that happened to be the stronghold of the NPP. And the people of Kwabre were lamenting about the poor nature of their rule. You know what the president said? People that voted for you. Recently, when the president even appeared on one of your sister radio stations, and the host said, oh, the chief of Aflau is talking about the fact that the community day senior high school has not been operationalized. What is your take? You know what the president said? The chief, if he cannot wait, he should go and do it himself. That is how condescending the people ruling us, that is how they behave. And so when you have a minister, that Ghanaians, we are going through doom, so we need to plan our daily life. We need to know when our power will be on. We need to know when our light will be off, so that we'll be able to adjust our time, our daily routine, so that we'll be able to meet it. The sector minister is telling Ghanaians that go and draw your own times table. And instead of the NPP to exhibit that level of maturity and humility and condemn unreservedly the disgust statement, the distasteful statement made by the sector minister, they are here to rationalize. It's only NAPO that continuously, when you make reckless statement, you have the NPP people issuing statement to rationalize the statement he has made. You see, in concluding, let no NPP member made any statement to the effect that when it comes to DUMSOR, they fix it. How did you fix DUMSOR? Are you the one who introduced ESLA? Are you the one who introduced ESLA?
He said they signed a check.
No, I mean, come on, that is ridiculous to say the least. When it comes to what we call Ameri, the car power and what have you, look at the posture of the MPP when we're the issue about Ameri, the issue about car
but
power.
if it's a finance issue,
Yeah.
I mean, of course, there's a generation capacity issue. But
So
if it's
what is finance
issue?
issue? That's why we brought the ESLA. What have they done to the ESLA? Use it as a collateral?
Okay.
What the ESLA was meant for, you have diverted it.
Yeah.
You are not using it for its intended purpose. And what we are currently facing, finally, you remember they said there's no DUMSOR. On the 28th of March, ECG issued a statement. And they said this is a statement issued by the ECG. They said, what do you call it? The power is stable. And Ghanaians should be what do you call it? Should not be worried because this time around, they are not going to experience DUMSOR. This is the statement they issued by the ECG. The next day, there was DUMSOR. And there was a statement coming from Goodco. I mean, so you see, the least you can do is to respect the intelligence of Ghanaians.
Thank you very much.
In times like this.
All right, okay. Kwesi, I don't know if you have any response to what he's just said, and then we can...
He couldn't, he called my assertion that of President Akufo-Addo paying the end gas debt ridiculous. He couldn't point as to whether or not it is true or not true that indeed President Akufo-Addo cleared the legacy debt of NGAS accumulated within the substance, the period within which NDC were in power. He couldn't call that a lie.
No.
Because that is a notorious fact.
Okay, my understanding of what he said was that it's not just the payment to NGAS alone that can be...
But it was a major contributing factor. It was a major contributing factor to the power crisis between 2013 and 2016.
So why are you taking
exactly.
positions and
No. He called it ridiculous. And that is totally, it's an interesting statement to make. Because it is a fact that President Akufo-Addo cleared the NGAS debt. And this is a fact. And that is the reason why we've been able to keep the power on since 2017.
Right,
That is a notorious fact.
Don't own
And again,
anymore.
he makes the statement that anytime the energy minister makes any pronouncements that he finds uncalled for, the NPP issues a statement to defend it. On record, the NPP has not issued any statement.
Okay.
Even in the recent, in light of the recent pronouncements made by the energy minister, the NPP as a political party has not issued any statement or whatsoever. He can produce the statement here for the benefit of all of us. Maybe he's the newly appointed general secretary of the NPP. I do not know.
All right, thank you very much.